Also, rugby league is different from rugby union.
Tutegeza league. Championship. Hey, tofayo. And it's the rugby championship week. New formats come with new fortunes. And welcome to the Fat Cats Rugby podcast. Here with a couple of fans. We're going to be talking about a lot of things rugby in 2024. 2024 has definitely come with a different vibe about it. My name is Ruben Kihumuro. For those that caught up with us last week, of course, we had Arnold Atukunda. Thank you for being part of that conversation. And maybe without further ado, let me just introduce our guests here. Luckily, there are no ladies for me to say ladies first. So I'll just speak from the worst looking to the best looking. So if I introduce you first, maybe. Anyway, let me start from the closest person to me. Mr. Robert Mulyowa, a verification officer with the Ministry of Education, Directorate of Industrial Training, Pirates fan, very, very serious Pirates fan, and a former rugby player. He never misses the chance to tell you about his glory days whenever he gets the opportunity, especially over a Nile special. And a very, very smart man today. I have to admit, it's been a minute since I've seen him dressed like this. But anyway, this new year has come with a lot of surprises, and this is one of them. And of course, his first time on the podcast as well, Mr. Nnyombi Sylvester Pirates, PRO of the Parish Development Model. He'll maybe tell us about that a little bit, and then also former PRO of Impis Rugby Club. I hope I have that correct.
Yeah. And
just in general, a PR and communications specialist. And to the far end is Mr. Lewis Semujju, former Fat Cat. Still a Fat Cat, but he was part of the inner circle till some people stole him away from us. Search engine optimization manager, communications manager with Youth for Tax Justice Network, and former Rotaract president. Yeah, he's a very, very busy man. An avid NFL fan. It's a National Football League. Maybe he'll tell us if there are some things rugby can steal from the NFL. And he's a Heathens fan. God knows how a colleger in Amiliango old boy became a Heathens fan, but we'll jump into that. Gentlemen, welcome to the Fat Cats podcast. Lewis, you've been here for a number of times, so we will not start with you particularly. I want to just get the mindset of these two, can I call them rookies? Starting with Mr. Mulyowa, you've always told me, man, you want to come and tell us things on the podcast. Tell us.
Yeah, first of all, this is my second time here.
Is it?
Yeah, actually, I was among the first time.
You're going to talk about the live screening of Uganda, Kenya.
Yes.
We're talking about these proper sit-downs.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, of course, this is the first time.
Anyway.
And I'm really happy to be here. And I'm willing to give my view about Ugandan rugby. And all I can say is I'm really thankful for Fat Cats and what you've been doing for Ugandan rugby. I'm so grateful, and everyone out there is really grateful.
If you overpraise us, they will say Mbowali Day also. So be careful. But anyway, Mr. Nnyombi, you've been focusing us throughout the whole 2023. How do you feel about yourself and the decisions you make?
I was waiting to gain weight so I can associate.
Is this your definition of gaining weight?
Trust me, I've done well. Okay. Yeah, but I'm very happy to be here. I've also been looking forward to the time I would make my Fat Cats podcast debut, and I'm really glad to be here today. I think it's going to be a very fruitful discussion, and thanks to the sponsor of our rugby for making sure that our throats don't run dry.
Yeah. Semujju, of course, is there taking some Renzori water. I don't know why he's not drinking beer today, but we are yet to send Renzori our invoice for 2023 and the brand visibility they are getting. But however, Mr. Semujju, you disappeared from the podcast. What have you been up to, man? What has your life, where has life taken you?
First of all, my lane started very early,
Mm.
so yeah.
Supposedly there is that thing called lens.
Yeah, but I've been trying to cut down on the consumption of a few things here and there,
Mm.
and but I've been watching the podcast on the sidelines. Things are getting interesting. I mean, you guys got Bruno all the way to Tunisia, then he's been to Zimbabwe. At this point, I think he can draw the map of Africa, which is a good thing. So, I've been watching from the sidelines, and I'm really glad for what Fatkas has done. I mean, even Edwin, I think right now he's at the passport office trying to sort something. So, and he's no longer doing the law; he's doing moving and everything. But congrats on the milestones achieved, and I'm glad that you called me back and we can have this discussion today. Yeah.
Yeah, let's actually just dive right into it. But before we really get into a lot of other things, I want to pick your minds and just understand how you guys really got into loving this sport that we find ourselves so obsessed with at some point. Maybe continuing with you, Lewis. Where did you? I know it was definitely in Amiliango, but at what moment was that where you're like, you know what, this game I'm going to follow it? Because there are a lot of people who go through Amiliango and still don't fancy rugby as much.
It was sometime at Kinda. I think you would remember this. We're in the same class with Biodi's brother. So this one time he comes to school with a ball we're not used to. I mean, we're used to our tangos, super tail, everything was round. I mean,
Some guys bring a pop.
some guys being a pop of football. I'm like, so what's this? Like, this is rugby for the hard guys. What? My brother is playing it in secondary school. What? Like, that's like the very first time I met rugby. Then, of course, after kinder, when I went to Nanyombi College, it was the main game. So it clicked back like I've seen this ball somewhere. I've seen this ball somewhere. So when it clicked that it was rugby, and then S1 initiation is all about rugby. You have to you need to play the game. You need to get admitted in the game, because in a few weeks you may either play Weavers and we don't like them, or may play Budonians, we definitely don't like them. So you have to get to know this game, and it was quite funny that instead of when they're talking about rugby, they're showing a real ball. Like, but now you have to learn how to spin. So get a bottle, start throwing it around. Then after classes, every S1 kid is throwing around bottles, trying to be the best spinner. Because in those days we were watching Kamanyire calling him spinner. There was Meshu, BOD actually himself was in Form 630. Yeah, it became part of me, because I mean, after you're done discovering elements in chemistry in the evening, after classes you're spinning bottles of rugby ball. So it just became part of me, and it's been smooth sailing since then. Yeah.
Yeah, DOP, is it possible for us to have Lewis's mic a bit closer?
It's like, I'll do that.
And the gun pointing at him. Yeah, I think that's better. Yeah, but as we're still fixing that anyway, but let's jump to Budo. When they talk about Budo and rugby, I remember those days, man. You go there and you're playing rugby, or even you're watching even before we started playing some rugby. And then you start hearing, go Budo, go. You're like, man. I don't know how it feels like.
10 years.
I don't know how it feels like for you to be there and you're being supported by the opposite sex in high school, man. That must have been epic. Tell us about rugby in Budo, man.
Actually, Go Budogo was mostly sung during a ball, when they're pushing a ball, you remember? On attack. So it was really energizing. Actually, going back to how I picked interest in rugby, 2005, I was in S1. We have a teacher who was called Mbalule. Actually, he's now an HM somewhere. He was we had, Budo had sports teachers. It had a sports teacher, but then it had patrons of different sports.
Yeah.
And patrons, to an extent, they used to even be more powerful than the actual sports teacher for all sports. So now, somebody used to be the patron, and used to have a culture that every S1, because used to teach S1's geography. So his first geography lesson for any stream, he would come with a rugby ball, and then he tells people about the sport, about how the ball should move. The first thing you would say, this is not a soccer ball, this is not a basketball, but this is a rugby ball. When you're flowing it, you're supposed to flow it backwards. So every person moves out of the class knowing that for me to move forward with this ball, it can only go backwards for me to gain ground with it. You understand? So basically, it's how we most of the people in my generation picked interest. And you see, time came where you could distribute balls to different groups within S1. Like you could divide groups like 5 groups and then distribute 5 balls. So then he tells you that you're going to be answerable for that ball when it gets lost. So you get your guys and then you keep swinging that ball when you're done with class. So it was interesting. We started creating small teams within through houses, because we had houses. So we started creating teams here and there. So later on, around S2, that's when people started now actually picking into now playing for the school, because when you're in S1, you're just basically running the ball, trying to play touch here and there. But then S2 is when you start going into is it under 6? It's now under 15, under 14.
Under 15 now. It used to be
Those
14.
formats there. So that's when we started going into it. But it was an interesting thing. But I will never forget one thing, because I've seen that most people are learning rugby face a problem of parents coming, this guy shouldn't get into this. Mostly somebody's just running, falls, gets an injury, says I was playing rugby. Then when a teacher explains to the parent, he's like, that sport is very rough. So it had, some teachers had a bad feeling about it, but actually it's something that everyone loved in school. So it was the most popular sport in school. You understand? So, that's how it started.
We know so much about Budo rugby outside, but tell us about what were the most exciting things about rugby in Budo internally.
Rugby in Budo. First of all, rugby in Budo was so competitive because of classes. And the competition starts peaking. In Budo, actually, the competition starts peaking around S2. S2s want to fight with S3s. So that's why the competition starts.
That's the biggest derby in the world, by the way. S2 versus S3. Guys don't know.
Yeah. So that's why it starts. So actually, that's why even cultures are created. The good people in S2, those people are a bit, who have learned a bit of rugby, are a bit hated by the S3s. So then every S3 feels like he knows better rugby than the S2s. So it becomes more of I'm better than these kids. All the kids are like, I'm better than this guy who is in a higher class. So basically it starts with that. Then of course it keeps growing. S2. Then after another derby, you're talking about derbies. Another derby I noticed in school was S4 and S6. S4's always had a derby against S6s. That match, or before guys do cantab or anything, it was something to really watch out for. So it was basically interesting. Then of course the songs, like you've talked about Go Budo Go. We had very many songs for rugby that could actually bring out the culture of the school.
These days during rugby games, they sing Jubileo.
They have never sung Jubileo. They have never sung Jubileo anywhere.
That was coming.
They say even if a clock is very correct, you can get that one minute where it's wrong. So that's something that won't happen again. So I doubt I've never.
Broken clock is correct twice in a day. Broken clock is correct twice in a day.
Offside.
Penalty. 10 meters. But yeah, anyway, Mr. Nnyombi, interesting journey for you.
Yeah.
Kinda. Then somehow Namugongo.
Yeah.
Then Namilyango.
Yeah.
At one point, did you ever think you'd be a rugby player?
I didn't. I even up to now, I still dream of it. I think sometimes.
You think you can still come back?
Sometimes I have dreams that
so you know.
Dreams are valid.
Dreams are.
No, but as far as rugby is concerned, I think the appreciation of the sport comes in 2010 when I joined Namilyango in Senior 5.
Yeah.
For the first time, I see rugby that's organized, that has a school team. You know, I had seen rugby before, but not at school team level. Guys have the jerseys. There are kids from all classes. Everyone's combined. The whole school is at the pitch. The energy is crazy. So I think for me, that was the moment I said, now it's time to follow and learn this sport. But there was an earlier interaction with rugby in Namugongo, which I felt I needed to share with you guys. So when we were in Namugongo, we had the guys that came from your schools, the Budonians, the Smarkists, the Angonians, even guys from London College, guys who had been playing rugby. So when they came to our school in Namugongo, the first thing we always thought about is that these guys can play rugby. In fact, we didn't even think it. When someone came from Mungo or Smark especially, or Budo, they like automatically felt the need to show that there's a sport called rugby that you guys don't have here. You know? So eventually we started to put together a game that the school would play. And midway, you could see things like some nasty injuries, and then the game would be banned for like a term or a year, and somehow the students still found a way to persist and play. So someone breaks his leg and they say, if they catch you playing rugby, you're going to be expelled. Namgongo never used to compromise on things like that. So you get this overall fear in the school. But then a week or two later, someone finds a way and we are playing again. So that was the story, Senior 1, Senior 2. And then when we reached Senior 3, when we're now the ones in Senior 3, the class that comes in Senior 5 that year had a number of guys from those rugby playing schools. So there was this underlying beef between our Senior 3 class and that Senior 5 class. So we introduced something called a pig fight. So the two classes would contribute and buy a pig and then play it out, and the winning class would eat the pig.
I was actually told about. I was actually told about at campus. I have some friends I met at campus from Namugongo. Yeah, they told me about the pig fight.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You've heard of it.
yeah. Actually, people could really get wounds from. So, but anyway.
Yeah, I'm proud that the Namgongo story has traveled as far as Mulyowa. But yes, that's exactly what it was. So everybody in the school would be there for the pig fight. But then the rugby we played had no scrums, had no penalties for kicking, had no conversions, had no lineouts. Every breakdown was sorted by a scratch and resumption of play. So it was something akin to rugby league, but it was really hard. The tackles were there, they were solid. They were actually illegal. So many illegal tackles. You find a guy being flipped over the shoulder. But that was rugby as we knew it. So we loved it. We used to call it akaraga. You're going to play akaraga. We're not as uptown as most of you. So that was the rugby we knew. And so tap tackles, those were common things. So I came with that background to Namilyango. And now when I came to Ngo, rugby was actually very organized. And now it was a moment of, I have known this sport for a while. I've loved it, because in Namgongo I did love it, but it was actually more dangerous to play rugby in Namgongo than to play it in a rugby playing school. So when I came to Ngo, and there was this form of order, and the ball is actually going back, and the passes are not just thrown, hallelujah, willy-nilly to whoever is next to you. We're playing some dangerous sport, I'm telling you. So the Ngo time showed me good rugby, and I got into the refereeing, I got into the rugby excom, and I never really got to play contact as I would have wanted it. There's this one time when I was information prefect, and I dressed up to go and play. And there's a kid in Senior 3 at that time, I think the school had nicknamed him Cockroach or something. So he saw me, I heard him shouting to his friends, "Info captain is sloping!" And I knew, like, it's not going to be nice if I go all the way. So I didn't really play, but I got engaged in such a way, and up to now, that's how we're rolling.
Actually, he has reminded me about a scenario. I keep telling people about it, that when you're playing rugby with people who don't know, even if you're on pitch playing, you live frustrated because you're doing the work of a ref and then your job as a player. We are in Komboni, in northern Uganda, and there was a rack that was formed. A player walked from the defensive side,
Hey.
walked like this and came and picked the ball and then attacked. You understand? Then the referee also was like, play on. So we're like, what's going on here? Because the ref was
Maybe
from
the ball was open.
the ref was from Gul University. You get so basically that game really shows me that when you're playing against people who don't have the rugby knowledge, it's actually very, very, very annoying and dangerous.
Difficult.
Yeah.
It's difficult.
Anyway, so transitioning into, of course, club rugby. How did you guys? Of course, for us, one affiliation or one connection I have to two of these gentlemen on the pod right now, Lewis and Nnyombi, is what the Great College of Namibia. I just want to know, of course, by law, there was some certain law that stipulated that everyone in Namibia should support Cobs.
And everyone in Budo should support Pirates.
Yes, I don't know if that is the truth, Mr.
That was, I think that's the case.
No, I think actually, I believe how that came about.
Mm.
It started with clubs trying to affiliate.
Yes, of course, definitely.
Clubs trying to affiliate these schools so that they can use them as academies. You understand? Because you see, in Uganda, we don't have. Someone want to create a sports academy to teach rugby. So it's through schools. You see, like how it's done in the US. That someone to join NBA, you have to go through high school. You find someone, for example, from Kansas or whatever, going through those
drafts.
from high school to a college to then to NBA where they are drafted. So I think we kind of have that format, but of course I should say a poor man's format like that. You understand? Eh?
Mm.
Okay,
Union is listening.
yeah.
So anyway, what I want to understand is, we understand, of course, for you went through the right channels. Pirates, Budo supporting Pirates. I don't know if that is the case, or you supported anyone before.
Because
Now, for us here, we have a conundrum. How does the Namibia OB start supporting Heathens, start supporting Impis? Please, explain yourself.
I get the feeling I was invited here to be put in the hot seat, but
Yes.
nonetheless,
Paid.
man, it's just I'm a fan of supporting the underdog, and when no just here from my perspective, when you look at the setup that after school, when I got out into what you would call big rugby and all, there was this disregard that's put on. There's the way that rugby players in Chadon are being looked at by our friends, the snobs. I love to call them the snobs, but well, they are my friends. So there's a way they're being looked at. There's actually a way they're even still being treated, even till this date. There's that thing. It is indelible, but well, we all know what it is. So according to me, I'm like, but why would you want to treat your body like that? I mean, you open the same game, and as it turns out, it's actually better than he has more trophies. So that pushed me towards Heathens, and the fact that Ojus did bad things to us in the final in 2011, right? He did very bad things to us in the final in
bad
2011. Like, he was so good. The fact that we're cheering for him when he was playing against us, like he gets the ball, like man, things happen. It's so juice. There's nothing you can do. Then after school, like, I get find he has gone to pension, and I'm like, okay, I'm going for this guy. Come watch me, I'm following this guy. And then I get because while in school, of course, we kept hearing about the Gonyas and the what's the brown guy, forget his name now, the scrum, that one, and I'm like, okay, now these are guys what I used to read about, because my info prefect always used to give me newspapers, so I used to read about these guys. I'm like, now I'm going to be following these guys for. I am a sympathizer for Cobs, because many of the guys I went to school with are there. So once in a while you're going to run into them, or you're going to make noise for them. But one Heathens to the Muchele Munyama, Heathens to
Why Impis?
Why Impis?
Campus girls?
No.
Tell us.
No.
Tell us why.
No. I actually was supposed to be a priest in case you guys don't know.
Oh yeah.
What happened along the way?
That's episode 2 of this podcast.
Episode 2.
Part 2 of this episode, rather. Like Lewis, I think I've always had that love for for me the actual underdog, not Heathens type of underdog. You can't be an underdog with 13 championships. But I was a Cubs fan for sure. As you mentioned, the
Before you
affiliation.
go very far, please. Of those 13, many have been won in the last 10 years. So, by then,
That is no underdog
to the Kampala
by
boys.
any measure. But yes, I was a Cubs fan. I think up to 2013. So I was a resident of University Hall in Makerere, and that was not so close like the other halls, but it was quite close to the pitch. In any case, the pitch was in the university. I could have walked there anytime. So this one time, I don't have the money to take me to watch rugby at Legends. I say, but there's rugby.
There's
down
Ortega
here. I
down
had actually
there.
watched Impis play before, but I did not take time to pay attention until they were in the first relegation period. I lose the years
It
of
was
my head.
2015.
13, 15 around there.
When they were with, I don't want to mention the club because it's like I'm treating myself.
You
okay,
can
okay,
shoot
when they were,
just-
okay. That year they were in the
era of
same relegation
Oscar.
battle with Pirates.
Yes, yes.
That's the time.
So we were down. Impis was in the championship. We're playing the summer camp, Stallions. Actually, some of those guys were even beating us, by the way. But that day I went to watch Impis. They were playing Stallions. That day I went because I had no transport to take me to watch Cops. And I kid you not, I watched those boys play, and I think I was very lucky. I say I was very lucky to watch that team play. They had Emmanuel Ochodu, they had Ortega, they had Semwami, and these are only wingers. They had Katuntu at fullback, Adnan, Keith. You can imagine such wealth and depth in the team, and they were putting it together. And then somehow Stallions had taken the game. Impis was like 2 points behind. And Echodu was apparently doing a paper at school, at ARC school or something. Then he comes in with about only 10 minutes to go. And he's thrown on as a sub. And he wins us the game with like 2 very quick fire tries. Totally unplayable. I'm like, there is something here. There is something here. These guys are the underdogs, but they play well. And then when I say, I might as well just come by, watch training sessions. I'm going to be free. So I would come, take my time, sit by the pitch, watch the sessions, and go. And then my friend Luyinda Emmanuel, I think you know Luyinda.
Yeah.
Luyinda was the team manager at that time. I didn't know him, but he said, I always see you here, and I don't have an assistant TM. You at campus. You down? I'm like, yeah. And then there is a free role for public relations. I was a journalism student at that time. So I tell Luyinda, you know what, let's do this. And that's been Impis until today.
Okay, so of course, at some point you relinquished that sport. Why did you particularly let go of that role? Do you think it was your time? Was it a case of maybe you became too busy? What happened? Because I have never met a more passionate Impis fan. And there is a game we played
I know.
in the league
At
against
Chadondo.
Impis at Chadondo.
I
I had
recall.
never had someone shout so much
Yeah.
for a club like that, and I was on pitch, and I'm like, this Nnyombi about Dechide, you know, what has Nnyombi taken?
But you see, one thing I should say is that
Yo, I want you to be audible, man. I want you
The
to
mic,
be
but the
audible,
mic is
man.
far from him.
No, it's
one
okay.
thing I want to say is that very many people who have gone through Makerere University are Impis fans by affiliation because
Sure.
literally everyone will tell you at one point, a year or two, they supported Impis.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a few hardliners who stay there, but most people have that soft heart, which we call a boxer for Impis.
I know. I know we actually have so many fans, Impis fans at heart all over. And that's okay. I think with time you have to accept that priorities can change for different people and they move. That's very fine. But for back to your question, I think nature took its course regarding the role I was holding at that time. I had been in that role for 8 years by the time I stepped aside. And I think I think it was a good time. There was another young man who was showing intent and purpose, so he stepped in. I think he has done well, but I've still remained. I don't know. I think it's what people call the mafia. The guys who operate in the background.
The cabal.
I've remained that guy for Impis on the background. I still render my support and my advice where I can, and I'm very proud of the club because for me, it's Impis or nothing. Yeah.
Okay. Then briefly, Mulyowa, your story must not be very, very exciting, but
You'll be surprised. Give the man his chance.
why Pirates? I mean, you could have come from Bodo and then you support
Rhinos.
Warriors. I don't know why not. Why Pirates? Why Pirates for you? And you're not a COVID fan as they call them, who came in the era of Nigos and Kings Park and all the luxuries that come with it. You were back then.
And I think you are right when you said my story is not
Also, it's
exciting.
important to note that you were a player for Pirates at some point.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. You're very right when you say my story is not
I
exciting.
really think his microphone is not capturing him.
I think it's okay. I just think he's a bit shy.
He's a gentleman.
You should take his
I know.
He's a
question.
gentleman.
And what I'm saying,
Eh,
you're right when you say I'm not having that special story about me loving Pirates,
yeah.
because like you said, it's just a system that I went through, and it's the reason I'm still here. So it's just a system that captured me, and you go by the system, and then you become the system.
Do you regret being part of the system?
No, that's what I'm saying. You go by the system, then you become the system. Yeah. So literally, when I played, of course, for Buddha, I said Pirates was we became the feeder school for Pirates. So I started playing for Pirates in my S4
S4VAC.
Yes.
That is 2008.
Yes, that is Pirates, the club, not Sailors.
Not Sailors.
Yes, Sailors.
Just to clear things up.
Yes.
Yeah, people may think you played for Sailors.
No, actually, I'm one of the. I should say, okay, I played for Sailors, but in S3.
Okay.
But in S4VAC is when I joined Pirates. So, of course, there were tournaments there. You've heard about where I was top scorer here and there. So until
I want you to officially talk about it on the podcast. What is that record that we have a problem of record taking and record storing here in this country? Tell us about that Uganda Cup record that you tell me about so many times.
No, actually, at that time there should be President's Cup.
President's Cup.
Yes. So President's Cup was played. I think it was I think for 1 month.
Okay.
Something like that. Yeah. So when I scored those 12 tries.
You scored 12 tries in President's Cup.
Yes. So up to now, even Uganda Cup, there's no one who was.
Is President's Cup what morphed into Uganda Cup?
I think so, because that time I don't know if that time because those days there used to be President's Cup. Yeah, I don't know why they no longer play it. So, but now of course Uganda Cup came in now. So, but now that's a record that everyone keeps talking about. But of course that time I was a moving bullet. So
yeah, when you see him here now, you won't believe that he was actually a winger. But Robert Mulyowa was a very.
But the
very
speed
good
is still there. So
The speed is still there.
We shall do a 100-meter dash after the podcast, and we see.
Anyway, for
Actually-
those that are watching us, of course, you're seeing that we are not at our usual home. Today we are at the Gardens, Nigeria. And why? Because it's a very serene place. As you can see, there's this open space for us here to really have conversations. But those that even want to just have a good drink, a nice special, and also listen to good music, there's a bar area, and there are so many DJs that come on different nights. But what's really good about them is they have even the theme nights for you to experience. I mean, there's a live band, and also one of their peak nights, or their peak theme nights, as I should call them, is the East African night, which happens every last Saturday of the month. So that's something you should check out. Gardens, Nigeria. Where the Fat Cats podcast is today. So, gentlemen, let's now jump into real business. In 1 minute or less, I want us to talk about 2023 report cards for our teams. respective teams. Of course, me, I don't have a team, but wherever the wind blows and wherever the favor is, don't say what you want to say, please.
Sure.
Makes you sleep better at night.
But 2023, were you happy with how your team performed? Tell us about your mentor report card, as I should call it.
2023 a double.
Yeah, a double.
Double.
Good start for Coach Marvin.
Yes. If you're to rate, if you're going for 3 trophies and then you win a double.
I think at the end of your assessment, just rate it out of 10.
Out of 10.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I'm going to rate at the end. Let me first give my submission.
Definitely, go ahead.
Of course, it started. The campaign started in 2022, where we lost Uganda Cup to Heathens in Entebbe. So, of course, we missed a couple of players due to injuries, but then we picked up during the season. And me, what I can say is that what actually the game change of the season was when our sevens players were called, and then we picked up these new players who had been in the system. They had even been playing for Pirates, but they used to be bench players, the likes of the Zwaz, Sydney. When they came up, actually it was really a very big plus for Coach Marvin, because right now these are actually that's a national team duo right now. So I feel our team is now running around those new boys, of course led by the captain Magom and Massa here and there when he's available. So it was a great year. Actually, trophies aside, I should say we came up with so many new players. You understand? So I look at it in that angle, that the players we have brought up from the sailors, it has really it's really showing. Actually, it's showing a good sign for Pirates to even win for the next, I should say, 5 years, because I know we have a roadmap. Which I believe we're on the right track. So 2023, if I'm to rate, I should say 7 out of 10, because I feel Uganda Cup really brought us down. It was, at least if we had played the final and lose it, it would mean. But since we were eliminated in quarters, right? And also dropped in because I saw that when you're limited in quarters, the seeding changes.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so that's why actually, if at least we had lost in semis or a final, I would say 9 out of 10. But Uganda Cup really brings the rating down to 7. So, but yeah, so I should say it was so far so good, but we need to improve on those cup tournaments, and of which I know it may be a topic for later. We need to really now focus on how to balance in that tournament setup, because I feel.
Are you happy with the sevens program and how it is conducted? Ideally, take for instance, now you have a player that you signed like Roy Chizito, but he has never put on Pirates colors. Are you happy with the way it's set up?
Definitely. Any person, any fan wouldn't be happy with.
Of course, keeping in mind Pirates has the most players lost to the sevens,
yes,
which is one of their biggest
excuses.
Actually,
no, but it's an indicator of them doing something right.
Yeah, they're doing something right.
Doing something
yes,
right.
But you see, okay, you see the sevens setup. Honestly, it's a good thing for the players, but it's not a good thing for, if I'm to be honest, it's not a good thing for the clubs.
Yeah.
Because actually I've ever been in position to see a captain saying, man, they're taking our players that we're trying to fight for a trophy. Like how you can just share with a friend. You understand? So you can see that for the club, it's not really working for them. But for the personal grades of the players, it's a good thing. There's money, there's all that experience and so many other things, exposure. So, but for the clubs, really, because now you see this the championship. Now I was telling people that this coming season is going to be a tough one. I was actually talking to one of the players because you see, if you're going to play a championship and then you have playoffs demand a lot mentally and physically. If you're going to do those home and away, so you need those players around. So you need to have first of all depth, because playoffs you need depth. You can't go to Ginger to play Hippos, then come back the following weekend with the same team, and you're going to play that. You understand? So it's so with the format of sevens, of course it's affecting the league and the clubs. But actually, if I'm to give an example, when we lost to Eagles in Uganda Cup, the first game, our players were not. Sevens players were not available. 15 players were not available. So there's a fan who came and told me, who is that? There's actually someone who knows that they follow. They're like, who is this person playing? They didn't even know the people who are on pitch. You understand? Yeah, someone maybe thought we had brought Bachuba or something.
Anyway, Mr. Nnyombi, Impis report card 2023.
Mixed feelings.
Cairo had a 5-game win streak.
Exactly. That is why. Because we started chef's kiss, man. The start of the season was a proper chef's kiss. We won our Uganda Cup shield. Came with 2 million shillings, I think.
Did you receive the
I need
money?
to ask Composer about this money. But yes, we did win, and it was at that point that the players who had now become senior players of the club, Sekuye, Sedia, Keno, Stallone, those boys, they said, but you guys, you know what? There is nothing that the other teams that beat us have over us. It's just that those guys work harder, they're more determined, they're more organized. If we did the same, we can pull it off. So we started the season and man, were ice cold. The away wins, especially at Mongers. At Hippos was good, but it was the first game of the season, you could say anything. But Mongers, to beat Mongers at House of Pain, and we dominated the scrum, we dominated the line out, we dominated possession, we dominated the whole game. I looked and said, you know what? We have a good thing going now. I think we are going to beat everyone. We went to Rhinos, of which 3 of those 5 games were away games, you know. That was, for me, the belief that this was a whole new Impis. And when I saw that, if you had asked me at that time what the scorecard would be, I would have scored us a very nice 10 out of 10. It was enough. We had won, albeit we were not scoring many tries, but we were scoring the points that we needed to win the games. And then we somehow just tanked. I remember I met Coach Rumo of Rams, none of those games, and he said, kati mwategedde tebagenda barelegating kati mwajjeko ekigere ate ne mbakwata ngenda bakuba. I said, okay, fine, you are right, we may have taken the foot off, but losing to you, surely that is not going to happen. And I think we won home and away against Rams. But his point was right. At a certain point, I started to feel that the players, of which I can't judge them because they play, but I started to feel that the players had become too complacent with the mentality that now we have become big boys too. You get? And in my mind, I'm saying the teams we consider the big teams, the top 3 teams in the league, are only doing this because they are very consistent at it. They'll win 5 games in a row and win 5 games in a row 5 weeks later. You get? And then do it this season and the other and the other. So that kind of switch, there are so many issues I really can't judge players for. But the fact that we did not have the ability to maintain those 5 wins as we had got them made me feel like our scorecard now came down to about 5 out of 10. And that is me still being very generous because I love the club. But in reality, I would still take it down like to a 4 because it was a season which we played some of our best rugby. We amassed like the highest number of points we've got in the last decade. and yet still we didn't finish in the top 5 as we had wanted. We had come off a 7th campaign in the year before where we had finished 5th. Then the 7th campaign of this year, we finished at about 8th. I felt like we started really well. How could it have gone down so?
Is there any attribution to maybe the loss of some of the key players, such as, let's say, Roy Kizito, Jonathan Luhoni?
No.
You do not want to use that?
I cannot say. I love those players, especially Roy. I loved Roy because I remember the first time I saw him at our pitch training, and I'm like, this kid is going to the sky. And I used to talk to him and tell him, Roy, I've seen so many players who have come to the graveyard and walked out, and they had the potential to hit the top, but because of wrong decisions, not only in the sport, but even in life, they tanked. But even when he left, I was happy for him because, this is a player I know personally to have a good vision of where he's going with the sport. So I was very okay with that. And I can't tie their departure to the team's performances. In fact, we had these boys all through the 7th campaign. When we went to finish 8th on the overall log, we had them around. Roy played his best 7th campaign with us this year. So it really can't come down to that. I think it comes down to the fact that we still have a lot to work on the mentality of the players, but also for us to set up structures that can support players to generate that mentality. So that's where the task is at. And we also have a roadmap, like Pirates said they have theirs. We also have ours, and I think along the way we need to just make sure that we clear those two things out. We build the ecosystem for players to generate the winning mentality, and then the players also build that winning mentality. I think would be fine after that. But as for last year, 5 out of 10.
I wanted to ask something. Don't you think that, because you had asked me about 7s, the 7 setup, don't you think that it's an advantage to the league or Ugandan rugby in general, leaving the clubs getting hurt? But don't you feel that when these players are taken out, let me say 20 to 25 players, when they're taken out of club systems and these new players are coming up, I feel that it's helping the conveyor belt to create more players.
Yeah.
Because actually it has helped some people even forget about some players, and now they're focusing on what?
The right choice of helping people to forget players.
Yeah. Because right now, there's a fan who will tell you that on any day he'll pick Gongodio at 8, not Alex. I think you've seen that.
Not Alex, no Desire.
Not Desire.
It's true.
You understand, eh? Okay, there's an advantage to it that I'm saying that maybe you find different skill sets from certain players. Because right now, I feel Zwa is the most defensive player in the league. But no one would know that before if it wasn't for the 7 setup. And remember, it's completely built for 15s. You get it? So he couldn't come up because these players were there.
I think the setup of the 7s or the national team for that matter is beneficial to the growth of the sport, because the ultimate purpose of any club, on top of winning the league, the ultimate purpose is to build rugby in the country, to contribute to the national team. So if players are plucked out, and by the way, much respect to Dennis Etukate at Pirates, because I have crossed paths with Dennis Etukate
the scout
in player such as back then when I still had the energy. I wonder how he maintains that energy, because for him he's like 45 years
He's a
old.
vampire.
Did he tell you his age? Oh,
I'm assuming.
Let us leave it there, please. Let us
But
leave it.
that guy always makes sure that Pirates has the main, and I give him a lot of credit for that. I feel that as a club, for me, okay, maybe because Impis is not in the Pirates predicament now that you lose players and it kind of destabilizes you. For us, we've had like 1 or 2 players being called up. But if 7 players were called up from Impis to go to the national team, and we come back this way and lose all our league games, I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind at all, because my players are wearing the badge of the national team, and they are performing and representing. Whenever they come back, they are welcome. And like he said, you never know who comes out of such a situation. Now, when Desire and Alex come back to Pirates to play in the flank, it's not going to be a walking situation, even when they're national team stars, by the way. You have a guy who scored, I don't know how many tries Gongodio scored last season, but almost every game day you have him on the score
He
sheet.
was Pirates' top scorer, I think, for 15.
So many
you know.
man of the match performances.
So
He had
it's
the
always a
best,
benefit
Even
for
national
everyone.
sevens, he was unplayable.
Exactly. Even on national team on 15s when he checked in, he's like, man, we are feeling this
He has
guy's
come to
impact.
play.
And of which now should 15s also enter a setup like sevens that players are away for a while. You have this. There's a very nice kid I've seen in Pirates, a Lok, played for under 20. I forget his name. Awanyi. It's called Awanyi. You have a kid like that pop up, and before you know it, even Sydney is now knocking on the door for a number. He's not assured anymore. So I really appreciate that Pirates has that structure, and I hope every team can have the same structure going for them. That if we lose a couple of players, we are assured that Amajewe Gari. Yeah.
Lewis, the Hidden Story 2023.
2023, it actually showed it would be a tough year because if you remember that Uganda Cup semi-final, it had to go to a coin toss, and you know coin tosses. If it were Mutevi in charge of that coin toss, I'm sure
It would have two heads. The coin has two heads.
But usually such things are indicators of what's to come, because even the final had to go to extra time, and then we actually, before we get the final, the semi-final, we had couple of players miss kicks right in front of the sticks. When does that happen? That rarely happens, you know. And then the final gets decided in extra time because of some 2 kicks from Oyet, which means the kickers at Paris were also not having a good day. But when does that really happen? It's rare. So such things are indicators. And then on the opening weekend of the Premiership, Pirates turned us inside out, and I could see like, man, it's gonna be a long season. Second game of that season. It's a shoddy game, of course. There are referee issues here, discipline issues there. We lose Uhuru for the whole season. We lose the captain for the whole season, and I'm like, okay, this season is actually done for us. So, but being the club that we are, that's huge on guys. Let's do the basics, settle down. These things usually happen. These things are expected. If we're missing Uhuru, it's okay. Next man up. So guys try to beat it up here and there, get together, because it was also kind of a rebuilding season. Seeing as we were playing without the guys. Michael was dealing with a few things off the pitch. We had Okenya and Aaron out. Ojo was in and out, and Lawrence was in and out. So it was quite tough. So much rebuilding. Many young boys coming to the system, because Asam Kama was out, Faisal Gama was mostly out, Epido was away. So it was a very, very tough time for us. But I think finishing second behind the team that was the best the whole season is not about it to go out.
Yeah.
And then for national sevens, I keep telling people that for the last 3-4 years, Heathens has no right being competitive in sevens, and if you let them be competitive in sevens for a third time running, I think Heathens will run away with it, because the last 2 years they've been actually competing with people like, but how did this Agaze get up this way? It's because I think that they realize the spot they're in. They're like, you know what? Let's just put our best foot forward. It may not be the very best to compete with the other guys, but it is our best foot, and let's see how far to push us. So it is best foot forward, and we see what will come out of that. And finishing again number 2 on that particular series is not bad. So despite all the things that went wrong, all the absenteeism, like Nnyombi, I won't blame anything on absenteeism, because Heathens has had it worse before with absenteeism. So those aren't reasons I'll consider much. So I'll give it a 7.5, not to be hard on the players, because they really put their bodies on the line. So I'll give it a 7.5 out of 10.
It's amazing how you've given them a 7.5, and the person who had the double in 2023 gave them a 7.
Yeah.
People have different skills. Maybe they're looking at an overhaul.
No,
but we're lucky to make sure they don't get the whole.
It also depends on how you rate the ratings, because
And these Ririka's ratings?
Anyway, for Heathens, I think the reason why you actually came back into the context of competing for sevens, it's because when clubs lost players, Heathens instead, it was to his advantage.
My good sir. Scott Oloch was playing 7. Scott is like
Exactly.
75 years old.
Yes, you see, it's not about Scott Oloch playing, or even if centers are playing. It's about it's about continuity. If you have the same team that has played all the
My
circuits
friend,
together,
if you have
I get that, but
7
sevens,
people
that pitch is
over
so special.
120 kilograms each playing sevens, even if you give them 1 year's continuity.
No, you see,
Because
the thing about continuity is now. Let me give an example. It may not be fair to some, but here it is. You have Scott coming from our back row in 15s against Sydney coming from your back row in 15s. Now with the edge factor and the mobility in their legs, I want you to tell me how that is fair on other scales, because there was Cyrus Watum as well, he has mentioned. So
Jaseko almost stepped him off the pitch.
yeah.
anyway, you see,
Also, like I said,
but
I
on-
can't
on
be
a-
hard on them. I can't be hard on
but
them.
anyway, on a plus side, you last season you managed to bring up a very good player who I believe, I don't know what standing his way. I shouldn't say injuries.
that?
I shouldn't-
Malcolm.
I think I don't know what's going to, because me at first actually I was one of the people who was like, I think this guy may be overrated, but I've never seen someone at that age dominate or influence. Actually, I should use the word influence. The influence he has on a game, it's so evident. Like you see, like how Magomo can influence a match, and you see that this is being done. You know how he runs a play and everything. So when I saw that he plays 2 numbers perfectly,
Yeah.
it's something I don't know, but maybe he just needs the right hands. At least that's a plus I can give you.
For
One of the things that,
Ruben, before maybe going for his case, I think we've had it quite bad with number 10s in this country, that when a kid gets told that Nnyombi, you're a very good 10, you're going to play for the Warriors, you're going to play for Rhinos, like I'm 10, so I'm the dunker of this team. I'm the baddest guy. Most of them get in over their heads. They start feeling like the baddest guys on the field. But for his case, I think because I've watched Malcolm play from around 2016, his Tigers talents and everything, and he's a very calm lad, and it doesn't make sense. Like, why are you a calm lad? You're very good on the pitch. Why are you calm? You're supposed to be bossing together, but no, he's a very calm lad, and I think it also comes from his inspirations. He has what used to look up to. He has his own brother, Boskut. Boskut went through his own ordeal, and I think he has used those lessons to speak to his younger brother, like, everything I did, don't you dare do it, otherwise you won't be successful. And then he comes into a hidden setup that has as Heathens, I think we are very lucky to have Michael, because Michael speaks to his boys and they look at him like, what this guy is saying is a gospel truth. So he has people like Michael to look up to. He has people like Opa, a very humble man. I think Opa puts up with the most nonsense from fans as a fly half, but he has stayed productive, and listening to such old heads and then having Opa that tell you that I did this, don't do it. You have to do this. Listen, this guy, I think he has helped him a lot, and he's still very, very grounded.
Okay, very, very interesting. Of course, one thing that was very interesting was also that I spoke to Coach Athio Mohammed, and he's like, they keep calling us a Gazelle, but for some reason they have
They have a very young team.
kids coming up.
It's crazy. Santos is not 30 years old, man.
It is Hippos fans, and me and the admin are going to have a problem.
Agenda.
I think it was maybe the Reader Gazette, by the way.
But anyway, for those that are watching us, of course the gentleman here did not read the email, but I'm dressed in the Fat Cats match, so you can be able to get yourself whatever kind of match you want. Of course,
Data, I don't have data, so I didn't see it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It went to
Shall get a
spam.
data sponsor also. But of course, from the jumpers to the tees to the crop tops for the ladies to the vests for those that are trying to show off their muscles to so many other things, and of course getting them customized in any form that you want. Dress good and feel good. Of course, we have rugby weekends coming back with the new format of the league, and why not look good while you're going to watch your favorite team or while you're going to watch another team that you're hoping is going to lose. But anyway, guys, let's talk about the new format. Starting with you, Lewis. What are your thoughts about that format? I mean, we did have a space. A few things were said, a few things were not said. We're waiting to see how it's going to pan out. But what we know, I think, just from a summary point of view, one round of round robin, you play some games home, you play away, there is no longer home and away. Then somehow 1 to 8 have to play in the playoffs. I'm asking myself why number 8 and number 7 are gifted with playoff spots. But anyway, that happens. Then you go into home and away now when you reach the playoffs until the final, which is one game. But semi-finals, quarterfinals, home and away. Your thoughts?
When should I say grapevine or rumors of this came out, I think it was around August last year. I loved it because the way last season ended, Pirates Scopes gave us a final. They actually gave us a final of the league. Like from the build-up, from the fans. It was very hostile on the internet if you are Cubs or Pirates, but then it was very amazing for us who want subscribing to any of the two camps. Like we saw the build-up, it was amazing. People were switched on. And I think even the sponsors or probably the union picked up on this and they made sure to keep it going. Today they are pushing something about the Pirates being so good at this. Then in the afternoon they are pushing Cubs being so good about something like this. So it really built an atmosphere of maybe we need to have something like a final for our championship, you know. And when the first the first break of that news came out, I was actually happy about it. I love it. I love the way it is arranged. Though then again, if you're doing round robin for the 11 games, then why are you doing home and for the knockouts? I get you want to maximize on the attention and the tension because it's big boys playing against big boys and all, but then in hindsight it doesn't serve that much of a purpose, you know. It is if you want to play home and away, do it from the get-go. Don't introduce it like something that's very new. I had very many things from the space, but one thing that stuck out to my head was the constant comment of we did not think that far. Yeah. It seems the union is happy to cook, but then cook halfway, right? And if I was a PR person for the union, I wouldn't put Eric Butime in front of a microphone or camera very soon, because as the VP technical, we did not think that is not an answer you're going to give people who are asking for accountability. People want assurance that you've introduced something new. You've catered for number 1 to number 8 until the quarters. Then when 4 guys are left out, then you have another 4 in the semis and in the finals. So how about seeding? You know, teams are always arguing about funds at the end of the season, and these funds are handed out depending on where you finished. So how are you going to seed me if I got out at the semis, or if I got out at the quarters? Are we going to be seeded the same? And then the other thing also about this format, I think we should actually embrace it. I had during the introduction when Edwin quoted Isan Naruvali that Heathens have won all formats like this kind of format, you know, before. And he went out cheekily, but those who are attentive actually must have picked up on it that it should be an indicator of what's to come. And I don't think that is it. If we call Sylvester mentioned something about Impis starting 5 out of 5 last year, it is something that can happen very well this year. Yeah. Something that happened very, very well, and then let's say they grasp like 2 more games, then win another 3 or 4. Before you know it, they are number 3, and they get paired up with should I say Hippos or Rhinos? Yes, because
Hippos that one.
No, reason why I mentioned those 2 teams is because you played them in the Uganda Cup, and those games were tight. Yeah, true. They were tight. But then, what happens if you're number 3 and then Hippos comes with that beef of Uganda Cup, and then they pay you back with an L and send you back as the number 3? Yeah. So that's where the whole seeding thing needs it needs to be looked into. Like it's man, there are very many faults I find with this whole thing. Like it mean well, but the communication models are all poor. Like the handler that decided to drag Super Rugby from wherever it was into this conversation. You could have just talked about it being done in Kenya, being done in South Africa, being done here, but then you went to drag that we copy Super Rugby. I don't think it speaks to gaps in the communication department and the union, and I think that needs to be addressed. But bottom line is, I love it. I love the whole festival and upbeat games towards the end, and the consideration that we need to give players rest. We need to understand the number of games they can play locally before we put them into the 15 setup. So I think it also gives the national selectors a good eye of Heathens. You saw your big dogs. Let's see how you're going to play against Pirates. I'm just giving an example. In the semi-finals, home and away, week after week. Let's see if you possibly bounce back or you'll grasp game 1 and game 2. So it's going to give selectors a good time to look at the teams they will be picking. Yeah.
Mulyowa, you look like you have a bunch you're itching to put out. Tell us.
Okay. First of all, any new idea, of course, it's very hard for any human being to embrace a new idea. But also, sometimes new ideas come with faults, because in most cases, I can use a beer. If, let me say, Ruben is telling me, there's this new beer, first try it. I may complain,
Ruben beer.
Okay. But it may be true, an advantage, whatever. But now, going into this, first of all, if you, I like the idea. But now, if you're to bring the new idea, you need to completely, if you are to borrow from the white man's idea, copy everything and paste it here. You understand? Because you see, for all the leagues I've watched, where there is round robin, where there is because may I call them playoffs, because in most cases, if you're to do the league and then those are playoffs. Even if I don't know which. Even if you try to call it something else, those are playoffs. Any league that is going to have playoffs, the league should be awarded. You understand? Because that's why you see, if I'm to borrow from the
what do you mean league should be awarded?
Champion.
The champion of you are talking about the seeding. Now the seeding should be done when they're awarding the league. It may not be the award may not be as heavy as the championship at the end of the playoffs. Yes. You understand what I'm saying?
So that's a very interesting insight.
NBA things here.
It's a very interesting insight.
Regular season champion and
then you understand.
Champion.
Yes, that's how it's done. So when you're doing the seeding at the end, at the end, you need to use the league. So the league, you can have a small trophy for the league, like what you have said, regular season. You understand? And then people go into playoffs. The playoffs, that's the grand finale. You understand? Where you have all the... Because the playoffs make money. That's the truth.
Definitely.
That's what I was saying.
It's for the money.
The playoffs, it's about money. Those ones will make for you the money. They will bring the numbers. The stadiums will be full. You understand?
But then if I win the playoff, ideally, I've come a longer way than the guy who just got crowned at the end of the
No, the league. That's what I'm saying. The league is always regular season. Regular season, normally they use it to do the seeding. Yeah. So in most cases, the playoffs. That's why the MVP of a league carries more weight than the MVP of the playoffs. That's why they even separate them. Yeah, they separate them.
That American model is quite interesting.
That American model is...
yeah, you understand?
It's not sustainable.
Yeah, but you see, at the end of the day, why do they say... because you see, the format changes. That's why actually saying we are going to have surprises. Someone will play the league well, but the playoffs are going to be different. Something always changes. That's why it's even like if Butime says that they didn't think that far. If you're to think that far, if people have played that championship, you see people are looking at it like Uganda Cup. Uganda Cup, you start when you're already in the knockout stages. You start in the groups. You understand?
Yeah.
But you see when you play a league and then you go into knockouts, you find a team that has been top of the league being eliminated in the first game. You understand?
Ideally is the beauty of the playoffs.
No, but
there's something which Ruben said that if you've seen how our league has been going, number 1 and number 2, let's say by halfway, are really miles they're really starting to play from everyone else.
Yeah.
Then 3 and 4 and 5 are quite close.
Mm.
5, 6, 7, 8 are close as well.
Yeah, exactly.
So ideally, what the playoffs could be was 1 and 2 having that one they were calling the quarterfinals that off, like they have it as their weekend off, and then 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 are playing among themselves to qualify to play their guys.
Mm. And you see,
the same way they do it for the English Championship.
and
That
the
is
senior
the football
and you
championship.
see, before this happened, we were talking about it last season. I was telling someone that you see, when you create a league when you create a regular season that is not competitive, and everyone is looking at the playoffs, with the nature of our rugby, that people have other things they do. People will sit out for those games,
We're going to sandbag.
and they wait for the playoffs.
Knockouts.
You understand?
I think you have a point. Though.
You understand? People are going to sit out. Someone is like, no, I don't want to get an injury. I'll wait for the knockouts when they are serious. You understand?
Yeah, you can say, let me, as long as I make sure these things of how the NBA teams do. I know Pirates is going to finish number 3.
Yeah.
And Oyo Pirates too much.
Yeah.
So if we finish
Number 6.
number 6, we are good. So let's finish 6. Then you can start
Exactly.
resting your players.
Yeah, they start resting the players.
Anyway, you have a point.
No,
You
but
understand? So if you create, a trophy at the end of the day, someone will be like, at least I won the season.
Yeah.
You understand? But if you don't create a trophy for the regular season, and then you're saying, after this we are going to just go into playoffs, then what are people playing for?
Apart from surviving relegation.
Exactly.
Anyway, Mr. Nnyombi, how do you think this new format favors Impis? Is it something that something that will entice and impact and improve Impis's chances, or do you think? Because we saw last season how they started with a bang.
Yeah.
Now, like Lewis said, hypothetically, this season, if they start with the same 5 games, that already puts them. Actually, I think they've already qualified for the playoffs.
They are through, but then now it gets to seeding. Where do
seeding.
they?
But still, for Impis to be in the playoffs regardless would be good.
No, we are assured of being in the playoffs. Let us not talk about us like we're a small team. Let me even put my headsets on. We are assured of being in the playoffs. But I think before I even answer whether it favors Impis or not, I think that question applies to every club.
Okay.
I feel this format is lovely.
Okay.
Very lovely. Only if we didn't have an already existing tournament. Because when you think about it, when Uganda Cup reaches quarter-final stage, what they do there is exactly the same thing we want to do in the league, apart from making it a home and away encounter. It is the very same thing.
Yeah.
Now, if I've played Uganda Cup, and then I come to the league and play the very same thing, then it turns out like we are just tiring our players. Because outside the rugby, when they go to the international stage, yes, I know it is only that format that might work, but we already have it. We already have that exposure. The thing about the league is, what we underlooked is, last year we had 18 games. That's already a marketing stunt, a marketing point for a club on individual basis. Like if I'm looking for a sponsor and I can guarantee the sponsor that I have 9 home games and 9 away games, I'm already selling something nice to them. But now I'm going to look for a sponsor and tell them, you know what, I've seen clubs that have only 2 home games only 2.
Yeah.
3 home games. Now,
Isn't that I think 4?
When this has like 3 or 4. But still, I understand.
I think how many games does Cobs have? Cobs and Rhinos. I think they had like 2 home games.
The thing with Cobs and Rhinos, the predicament they're in is, even if they are away, let's say against Cobs,
It's still legends.
it's still at Legends. So that is what they were trying to do. But
You get.
But still, that means that at most you'll find that the biggest number of games, like say Hippos, Mongas, they have like 6, 7, 8 at most. So you've already cut a potential club sponsor out. You've made it difficult for the clubs to seek that kind of business. And then the other question is, at the level of playoffs, are clubs also having that incentive? I like Mulyowa's point of making the regular season competitive.
I like it. I think I like it as well.
But also at the playoffs, yeah? If we do make the regular season competitive, then reaching the quarter-final alone should warrant some form of reward. You get what I mean? Because we are now not playing Uganda Cup where we already know that what we are looking for in these quarter-finals is a trophy. We are playing a tournament where I already won the league somewhere. So by virtue of the fact that I've reached the quarter-final...
What rewards do you have in mind?
Should be monetary.
Yeah, it should be monetary. There should be some monetary. Yeah. There's some beer from the
all
sponsor,
8
but
teams
some monetary.
That's going to the playoffs must
You
have
have
some money.
this
Yeah.
money
Makes
fixed.
sense.
And that
Makes
money
sense.
grows to semi-final
Yes.
and it grows
Yeah.
to the
Yeah.
At the
ultimate.
final.
That actually makes sense. But
Because it's still speaking to making the regular season competitive. Because why should I fight to be in the top 8 and when I reach quarter-final, I get knocked out and I go out the same way as
someone who
the person who didn't
finished
qualify.
9th.
You get what I mean,
Yeah.
yeah? So I feel that incentive is also necessary. But I think we did this, should have been still about 2013 to 2015. There was a time the league was
2013.
We've
played
done
in
it 3
this.
times.
2013.
3 times. 2013 was the
That is the
recent,
most recent one. And Buffaloes ended up in the final with Heathens. You can be sure that even this time, we will have surprises like that. But if we are going to have surprises like that, we need to consider that now, are we switching up Uganda Cup to look like a different thing altogether? Are we going back to President's Cup so that Mulyowa can give us 12 extra tries?
Yes.
You know what I mean? I want us, like Lewis said, we need to think that far. If at least for the bare minimum we can incorporate a trophy for the league winner, the regular league winner, and an incentive for the guys who qualify, probably an incentive for even the guys who stay in that relegation games. The guys who stay. I think we will be okay.
Otherwise, I can go into the same school of thought as Tolbert, who keeps out the players so that he can take them to Dubai in 2 months' time. I can sit out my players. Pirates finishes 7.
Bare minimum.
Then I come and win the playoffs.
Then you bring your
fresh.
fresh guys.
Hey,
Yeah. We need to think that.
But anyway, that's very, very interesting takes there. Of course, you've really opened my eyes to certain aspects. But as we now start to close,